two different outfits. So Lust's look is with the big kind of antelope type of horns, the really long, tall horns with the long pink hair and the red eyes and the fangs. She dressed in a pinup look and then also a more romantic look, I'm going to call it. And I wanted to give her two different options because I wasn't for sure on my ability to costume her. I wanted to get her kind of a sexier costume. And when PhotoCon, Joe Oleski and myself were shooting it, I wasn't really feeling it. So I was like, you know what? I had that more romantic costume and dress, and I want to try this out as well. We'll see which one works better. And, I mean, we got some good shots in the dress, but overall, I think Lust in general worked out more as the pinup look.
All right. That makes more sense. Was there one of these seven deadly sins that caused more grief for you than anything, or were they kind of all the same amount of grief?
Let me think. Because this was a big project. This was my first project with PhotoCon, Joe, and we just wanted to shoot. Technically, it was 8 costumes in one weekend, and that's a crazy feat to uptake. But I mean, this is kind of my job now, so I'm like, I want to show people that I can make costumes like that, and we can do this all in a weekend. And so we started on Friday and just did one costume, and we did Greed, and Greed turned out really well. It was relatively easy, and then I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be great. But then, Saturday and Sunday we decided to take on 3 costumes all in one day, and anybody who's ever gotten ready with me or knows how I function when I'm attempting to doll myself up knows that I take a long time. And I really care about my makeup and how I look and all this stuff because that's the whole idea is trying to transform yourself into someone else. So making the makeup perfected and everything is really, really part of the whole gig. So Pride took a really long time. And she took way longer than she should have. And then it made everyone else that day get pushed back, which I did Pride, Gluttony, and Sloth, I'm going to say. Is that who I did? I think I did those. No. Pride, Gluttony, and Wrath, I believe, on Saturday. And then I did Envy, Sloth, and Lust the last day. And I don't know if I blame Lust for this, but Lust was the hardest one to finally, to finish because I just wasn't feeling it. It probably was because I did so many more costumes beforehand. But yeah, we were struggling with Lust. That's kind of why she had a costume change too.
Well, apparently Lust is one of the more, well-known of all evils and probably the most difficult of all evils. And something that kind of can be relatable, I think. It's just one of those things where people have to deal with that in everyday life. So I get where you're coming from. It's one of those things where it's like, lust can be a bit of a pain, can it? Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, when you were doing a lot of these deals with Photo Joe, definitely go check him out at facebook.com/thephotoCon. Was there any difficulty when it came to a lot of the photoshops? I know we talked about this in the past where one of them you had a little bit of a prop issue, but we already talked about that. We're not going to talk about it again. So were there any other difficulties? Were any of the horns, were they not working well? Was it one of the contexts not showing up with the lighting? Was there any other difficulties behind those costumes?
I think for Gluttony it's really funny. Gluttony had my Hellcat contacts. So the Hellcat contacts are also known for me are my dragon contacts. So that means they have that line to kind of make it look like a reptile or a cat type of eye. And for anyone who wants to cosplay and use these types of contacts, I say they look amazing. I love them. I think they're really cool. But I think the more professional contexts that have these, the people who wear these, they have to have some sort of weight in these contacts to make them actually stay in reptilian cat, up and down vertical, hot dog style, however you want to call it, form. Because these contacts will move around in your eye, like all contacts do, and then you'll go from cool dragon look to goat. And the goat eye where they're sideways is horizontal, and it's not cool. It looks crazy, especially when one is going one way and the other contact is going the other way. It was really frustrating to try to shoot like that because Joe was like, "Oh, I can fix it in post," and I'm like, "You can't really fix it that much in post. like we should just make it." Like I kept having to touch my eye and like turn them like during the photo shoot, and it was just a lot. So Gluttony was just annoying just because my contacts don't stay dragon. They always want to go goat.
Well, definitely major shout-outs and appreciation to Mr. Joe at PhotoCon for bearing with her in her lovely, fiascos that are completely out of your control by all means. But it's just, I know you to be a perfectionist. I know you want everything to look just absolutely perfect, where it's just like, it's like, oh no, we can fix it. No, we're going to make it perfect. We're going to make it perfect. It's going to be fine. We're going to get this to work.
Exactly.
So I guess final question when we go into the 7 deadly sins are, what do you think, in your opinion, is probably the lesser of those evils, and which one do you think is probably the most, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. I think the most, I don't want to say the word popular, but the most troublesome, I guess, is the phrase I want to use.
I can easily tell you the worst of the deadly sins. The worst sin, and the one that people have to constantly struggle with, in my opinion, and in most people's opinions, is pride. Pride is the number one sin. It's the leader of the deadly sins. She causes all of the other sins. So if you're prideful, you'll get envious of other people who have stuff of you. If you're prideful, you want more and more and more because I deserve more and more and more. And that will make you greedy, and it'll make you like, maybe I don't have to do it. Someone else should do it for me because I'm the best. Like, she causes all the other sins to kind of really do that snowball effect of, if you have pride, you most likely also have a bunch of other sins. But I'm going to say it, everybody has a little bit of an ego. Everybody has a little bit of a pridefulness about themselves. I definitely have a little bit of a pridefulness about myself. And knowing that you have it is the best way to deal with it. It's like, okay, I know I have this. I need to catch myself, and I need to calm that down. I need to tell myself, yo, you are not that cool. You're not that great. Sit down, pride. You take a seat. Now let's get our stuff done. So, pride is definitely the worst in my eyes. And I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna choose a lust for the least bad, because all the others, they're pretty awful. I guess lust and gluttony are both two that I could be like, maybe they aren't the worst. But for me, I don't think, I don't know. I don't know if it's hurting other people as much by doing those sins as all the other ones are. Envy, wrath. Wrath is crazy. Wrath is no love, whatever. No love exists in your soul if you have wrath. So it's like, ooh, is she crazy? And envy, you hurt other people. Greed, you hurt other people. Sloth, I guess you don't hurt as much people. So I'll choose lust out of all of them, but gluttony and sloth are close seconds to, I guess, my thinking of what's like, I guess if I have to struggle from one.
Yeah, I think I definitely would have to agree with you on that. I think I really do love how you really stem it all down to Pride being the, I guess as you said, the worst of all the evils, because it does always stem on what you want and what you expect and what you want, what you need, and it just stems from there. Uh, as far as the least, again, it's very hard to really think. It's one of those things where now I'm thinking about it and it's just like, huh. I guess I never really gave it too much thought. Yeah, I think again I would have to agree with you on Lust being that one, because while yes, there have been a lot of of course things when it comes to adultery and affairs and everything like that. A lot of times it's more people more talk about a lot of the other things they do. Like when like say let's talk about politics. A lot of times they'll say like, oh, they're too powerful or they're too lazy or they only think about themselves. They want more and blah blah blah. There's very little times where you'll hear them talk about oh, this guy wants sex. Especially with our president nowadays. I don't see him as one of those guys who's just going to be hungering for women anytime soon. If anything, he's more hungering for the wall to be built. But that's a totally different subject altogether. But yeah, I have to agree with you. I cannot think of a better way of putting it. So again, insights from Victory Bell, very insightful, very wise. Hard to really disagree with her. Honestly, honestly, let me ask this: in high school, did you have like a debate team?
We did have. I think we had a debate team. I wasn't on it.
Oh, okay. I was just about to say, oh gosh, if you're on the debate team, no wonder I keep losing.
Debates were fun, but yeah. I can always see both sides usually, so it's hard for me to pick. But that's another thing. Like, make a decision, girl. Like, it's hard.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of other things that we are definitely going to be talking about. One that I definitely posted up on our Facebook fan page, facebook.com/change the F up 1776, is that already they are making plans to start Wonder Woman 2 already before the first Wonder Woman gets released. And first thing I said was like, oh, I know a certain co-host who's going to love seeing this article because... Because, oh boy, yeah, the week of OhanaCon is definitely going to be crazy, and seeing Wonder Woman is going to be at the top of the list, especially for me. There's seeing that, doing OhanaCon, and then the ACW show. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But yeah, it's just crazy what could possibly happen and what they could possibly do after this. But already I'm thinking, what can they do? What is going to happen? In the first one even. Your thoughts on them already working on the second one?
I'm guessing that means that possibly they've gotten good reviews from people who've already seen it. Obviously, the movie is already done, so they've already had focus groups be watching and seeing and kind of giving their feedback. I'm thinking a green light to Wonder Woman 2 would only give me more positivity to go see Wonder Woman 1, because if they're green lighting it, it means that, okay, it was good enough for a second. And I'm happy about that. That's great. That's more than great. It's awesome. And I always like, as much as I enjoy the throwbacks and the untold preview stories that pilots often are, Captain America, the First Soldier, they went back to World War II. They're doing that with Wonder Woman 2, so it's like it's not set in the same day and age that all the other heroes are around in. So it'll be interesting to see Justice League happen and then them go into another Wonder Woman 2 movie. Maybe DC is getting their mojo.
One can only hope and one can only pray. We'll find out soon enough. We'll find out in about 2 weeks, to be exact. One thing that was actually very interesting was somebody made an article about this, about apparently it seemed like Wonder Woman could actually fly, in this Wonder Woman movie, but in the Batman vs Superman movie, she didn't fly at all. Which I'm thinking, oh boy, good